This is the 3 Before. 3 things you need to know 3 minutes before our service begins. Number 1, the Lord's Supper. You know, next weekend will be the first weekend of October, believe it or not, and on that first weekend of the month is when we try to celebrate the Lord's Supper together as a church family. And so next weekend, October the 4th, I want to invite you to pray and prepare your hearts to worship the Lord through participating in the Lord's Supper together. If you're not sure what that's about, or if you want to learn more about the Lord's Supper, just go to our central hub, our website, friendshipwired.com, and you can read all about it there directly from our front page. But next weekend, October 4th, the Lord's Supper. Be ready. Number 2, who's your one? Although this weekend will be the last week in our sermon series, Who's Your One, this idea is not over. We're not done with it. In fact, we want to keep praying and pursuing our ones with the hope of the gospel as 2020 comes to a close. And as we've been talking about, our hope is to celebrate 10 new lost and found stories by the end of this year. In fact, we want to throw a prodigal party for these new lost and found stories. And we'd love for you to keep us up to date and share your stories with us. So go to friendshipwired.com, look for the Who's Your One tab, share your stories as people come to Christ, as you're praying for your ones and sharing your stories and approaching your ones. Please let us know so we can be praying and celebrating along with you. Number 3, our sermon series in October is called How the Nations Rage, and it's actually going to be a 2-week sermon series. We're shrinking it down. Next week is going to be a standalone sermon, and then beginning on October the 11th, we're going to spend 2 weeks talking about how the nations rage, rethinking faith and politics in a divided age. I want to encourage you to participate, to be here, to be ready, to be praying about our conversation. If you want to follow along in the book, How the Nations Rage by Jonathan Leeman, you have time to purchase that and start reading so you can follow along in this sermon series. All right, we're just taking a quick dive into 2 weeks, but we want to consider this idea as election season is here. And so How the Nations Rage starting in 2 weeks. This has been the 3 Before. Thanks for joining us today. Now, get your Bibles open and get your hearts ready as we worship the Lord today.